Alright guys, today I'll be ranking every element on AlpenFury. Now, I know it could be debatable what counts as an element. I personally counted 12 elements on this thing, and I am counting the double inversions as one element. In my eyes, they benefit off of being double inversions. They just wouldn't feel quite the same if they were split up by another element in between them. So with that being said, let's get right into the list. Coming in at number 12 is the first launch. And this makes sense, it's definitely the weakest of the two launches. That being said, it still has some good kick to it. This is really reminiscent of Backlot Stunt Coaster's launch in terms of power. It's not very sustained, but it's still a solid element to start the ride. But of course, it is the weakest element on this ride, which I think shows how insane this ride really is. Coming in at number 11 is the speed turn. I know a lot of people say this is a very filler element that doesn't do a whole lot. And I agree with that to some extent. If you're on the right side, you're not going to get many forces, maybe a smidge of laterals throwing you to the left, but it's very weak laterals. Same with the left. However, the transition out of this gives an ejector pop if you're on the left side, so this is a really solid element if you're on the left side. And I should say right now, I'm assuming you're on the left side for all of these elements, because the majority of them are stronger on the left side. This element's really good for feeling the speed, and again, on that left side you get an airtime pop, but other than that, it's definitely one of the weakest elements on this ride. Coming in at number 10 is the first airtime pop at the start of the ride. It's a really fun one because you're banking to the right, so it's a lateral ejector moment. I would say it's weak to moderate ejector, but that being said, that's still a really good moment, especially for this early in the ride before hitting the second launch, which really gets you into high gear. So I was very impressed with this element. Coming in at number 9 is the last 0G roll. This element's great. I mean, there's not much else to say. You get some weak ejector airtime throughout this element, which is very rare for any inversion period to get ejector, but pretty much all of them do it on AlpenFury. And you also get some decent laterals throwing you to the left. It's a really solid inversion. It's just AlpenFury has one of, if not the most stacked lineup of elements on any coaster. Coming in at number 8 is the double up. Now this one is better towards the front, so it might be behind that last 0G roll if you're in the back, but either way it's close. You're going to get some fairly strong ejector on that first pop, and then weirdly enough, the second one is weaker than the first, which is very rare for a double up, but I mean if you look at the profiling, you could easily see why. It's still a really fun element, it's just again, there's too many strong elements on this ride. Coming in at number 7 is the ejector hill towards the end of the ride. Now this one is slightly off axis, so this is another one that's definitely a bit better on the left side. But either way, you will get some fantastic ejector on this hill. I mean, again, if you're on that left side, it will be Wildcat's Revenge finale level ejector. It is that strong. I know a lot of people were worried this would be floater when they first saw the animation, but no, it is anything but floater. Coming in at number 6 is the second launch. This is my favorite currently operating launch. It is stupidly strong. I have no clue how they made a rolling launch this strong. Usually I'm not too big of a fan of rolling launches, but oh my god, this one just hits different than any other one. This feels like a hydraulic launch, but you already have an insane head of speed going into it. You're surrounded by theming, all the lights and everything. And then the pull-up out of it is extremely intense there. You'll gray out on that pull-up. In the launch itself, I mean, you just get that hydraulic launch kick. You get the butterflies. You feel the face pulls. It's incredible. Coming in at number 5 is the stall. This is my second favorite stall on any coaster, just behind Air Force One's. And it's pretty close with that one. It feels very similar going into and out of it as Air Force One. You get an ejector pop going into it, you get an ejector pop coming out of it. And then the stall itself isn't quite as sustained as Air Force One's, but it's still really sustained. You're hanging there for a while, and then when you get ejector coming out of it, it's just really abrupt, going from perfect hang time to getting ejected out of your seat, and you also get laterals paired with that ejector, so of course you gotta love that. Coming in at number 4 is the Skyflyer loop. This was my most anticipated element on the ride, and I wouldn't say it disappointed, it's just the other 3 elements were better for me. You start off with some really strong positive Gs going up this upwards helix to the right, and then you hit the lateral ejector pop, and this is fantastic. you get completely folded over towards the left on this thing, and then you get some moderate ejector airtime on this too. I wouldn't say it's the strongest airtime on the ride. In fact, there's a lot of moments stronger, but the laterals on this combined with the positives going into it still make it an incredible element. Coming in at number 3 is the Serpent Fire roll. These top 3 elements could all be the top 3 inversions in the world. I mean, they just could be. They're that good. They're all double inversions, so some of you might not say they even count, but I'm counting them. The Serpent Fire roll is arguably the most disorienting element ever, and if it's not, then it's one of the top 2 elements on this list. I mean, this ride is probably the best coaster in the world for disorientation. You just have no clue where you are on this Serpent Fire roll in particular, and you get a great lateral ejector pop going into it, and then an excellent one coming out of it. And most importantly, you don't have a lot of time in between these 2 inversions. You have just enough time to realize how disoriented you are, but not enough to make the pacing awkward, which is part of why I love this inversion and the next inversion on the list, being the Ice Winder roll. This element's very similar to the Serpent Fire roll, but I think it's even more disorienting, and I think the airtime pops are slightly stronger. You still get those insane laterals on both inversions, but the airtime's a bit stronger there. It is incredibly strong ejector. I mean, this feels like something you should be seeing on an El Toro Camelback or the Rolling Thunderhill, something like that. But it's an inversion somehow. And then you've also got that middle section where you're completely disoriented. It's the same effect as the Serpent Fire roll, except on the second inversion, you twist the opposite direction. So I feel like it might be even more disorienting. It's just arguably the best inversion of all time. But I've got one more on this list that I would say is the best inversion of all time, and that is the double inverting top hat. Obviously, I haven't been on every inversion in the world, but yeah, this thing's ridiculous. You start off with that absurd pull-up into this top hat, which I know I counted as part of the launch, but you still feel the G's going up into this, and that adds to the disorientation of this element. And then you get one of the strongest airtime pops, period, not just on an inversion. The first inversion on this could have the strongest pop of airtime on any coaster not named Air Force One or Magnum, especially if you're towards the front. It is that incredible, and when you pair that with the laterals, you get such a perfect element. Even if it didn't have the second inversion, this would be one of the all-time great elements, but you do have the second inversion, and you have a beautiful stall in between, and then you get another incredible lateral ejector moment, picking up speed on that second inversion. This is my favorite element I've ever experienced, not counting sequences, and it is the best element on AlpenFury in my opinion. So that's my ranking of every element on AlpenFury. Let me know what you guys thought of this video down in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.